Canada, apparently they're throwing tariffs on manatee meat and bovine semen, which means The View is very unhappy.
Oh. Not even that. In The View, you don't need to find Trumpers. You need to fire your race baiters.
Yeah.
You need to fire the two races. You've had people. You had a McCain on there. You've had people on there before, and you ran them off. Mm-hmm. So the racist ones who want to stick to this, Whoopi and Sonny, and the, was it Bette Midler?
What's her name?
Broke-ass Bette Midler. Fire them and bring people in. Maybe you could get McCain to come back. She was a Republican, but every show and every break, she was nearly in tears because she was being...
The sarcastic storm. What happens when Whoopi Goldberg, the queen of righteous outrage, opens her mouth expecting applause, and instead gets ambushed by sarcasm's deadliest duo? You get chaos. Not your regular talk show tension, but meme-worthy, internet-breaking chaos. One moment she's preaching from her platform like a moral lighthouse in a fog of misinformation. The next she's scrambling to maintain her composure as Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus, miles away and not even present, dismantle her logic with surgical sarcasm. It's not just a clash of opinions. It's a full-blown comedic wreck, and Whoopi walks straight into it, blindfolded, arms wide open.
Happy Wednesday, everyone. Well, not if you're Whoopi Goldberg, a.k.a. Karen Johnson. Yeah, who knew Whoopi was a Karen? I thought that was only for white people, like Toyota Priuses and skiing. Roll it, Francis.
Good morning and welcome to The View. You all saw the news. Whoopi will be back here in 2 weeks. Okay?
Oh, it's so cute when one of their side gets punished. They sulk like they ran out of raw cookie dough in the green room.
Queen of contradictions Whoopi Goldberg, self-declared oracle of The View, has once again spun her political confusion into performance art. This time, she didn't just miss the point. She elevated nonsense to a new level of interpretive delusion. Wrapped in galaxy brain contradictions and self-importance, Whoopi unleashed her usual monologue of buzzwords and emotional hyperbole. The twist? She got absolutely roasted, verbally and intellectually, by two people who weren't even there. No direct confrontation, just the power of irony, amplified by Greg and Tyrus' surgical dismantling of celebrity logic.
Yeah, ABC suspended Whoopi for 2 weeks because she said the Holocaust had nothing to do with race. She said this on a show called The View, which makes everything about race. Except now.
The Holocaust isn't about race. No, it's not about race.
It's about a different race.
But it's not about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man.
Yeah, that's heroically stupid. Even for the
Legacy in flames. Imagine losing an argument against people who never spoke your name. That's the L Whoopi took. Cosmic and undeniable. From her familiar perch on The View, where facts are negotiable and outrage is currency, Whoopi launched another sermon of moral superiority. But what followed wasn't applause. It was digital collapse. A few sharp jabs from Gutfeld and Tyrus turned Whoopi's daytime throne into a relic of collapsing credibility. Her rebuttal? A mix of huffing, puffing, and mental gymnastics that only highlighted how far removed she is from real dialogue.
So the problem is that you have to go after the racist people. And if the CEO goes, you know what, I'm not going to allow a woman on my show or man that will go after white America and talk about them like dogs. That doesn't represent our ideals or values for anyone. And get rid of those people, and this will clear up real quick. So do you have to actually look in the mirror and clean up your own backyard and get the racist people out? Because that's who you allowed in. You allowed black racists on TV who could just go all day and say anything about white people. And I guess lo and behold, they forgot that there's a lot of people at home, white people at home during the day that are not watching your show anymore. So just clean it up.
Yeah,
Sarcasm grenade. It was a typical Tuesday in Whoopi land. Democracy, she declared, was under siege by anyone who disagreed with her. Cue the sighs, the solemn expressions, the audience applause. But outside that studio bubble, Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus were lighting up the night with a dose of unsweetened truth. Their segment, dry, cutting, and factual, landed like a grenade in Whoopi's echo chamber. No glitter, no applause track, just sarcasm sharper than Whoopi's coffee after someone challenges her worldview. It wasn't personal, but she took it that way.
Yesterday on The View, otherwise known as Hell's DMV, Whoopi Goldberg asked how much different are the values of the Trump administration from the Taliban.
We have a leader who has repeatedly demeaned women,
Right.
wants to defund organizations that benefit women, calling on the media to shut up, specifically wants to give preferential treatment based on religion. Are these values really much different than the Taliban's?
Wow. Talk about groundbreaking to actually hear a celebrity say something mean about the Taliban. How dare they compare them to Trump? The Taliban should sue. Guess they ran out of Hitler analogies. So as they bash the president, I'm reminded how entertainers rarely express any rage over any strand of misogynist Islamism. If they did, we might take their rage toward Trump seriously.
Silent roasting Greg didn't name her. He didn't need to. He described a certain kind of celebrity. Loud, misinformed, and endlessly smug. And Tyrus? He dropped a metaphor so vicious it might have registered on the Richter scale. Their criticism wasn't even directed, but Whoopi felt it. Deeply. She responded as though logic itself had written her an angry email. And in a way it had. What followed was a slow-motion meltdown, full of defensive glares and performative exhaustion, proving that Whoopi doesn't respond to critiques. She deflects with theatrical flair.
Check it out on The View, all right? Talking about Latinos. Watch this, Tyrus.
Latinos in Texas, a district that's 97% Latino, went 75 percentage points for Donald Trump. Why?
Misogyny.
It's on the border.
It's
the border
misogyny.
crisis is on their doorstep.
So-
and they were begging people to care about it for years. We
Misogyny
need to
and
take some
sexism.
lessons.
That's what that was.
Misogyny and sexism.
Sure, all that, and the price of butter. Sonny gets the game ball. If it wasn't for her, asking that question, it might have been a closer election.
The sigh heard around the internet, you know the one. That dramatic drawn-out sigh that says, I'm right, you're wrong, and I'm too exhausted to explain why. Except everyone watching knows the truth. She lost the argument. Again. Social media had a field day. Twitter turned into a roast session. Reddit joined forces. YouTube was on fire. The internet didn't just laugh. It documented the moment, turned it into GIFs and t-shirts. Whoopi glaring into the camera while failing to make a coherent point. That's not just a meme. That's modern political theater.
But when oh no, nothing really comes to mind, I was like, cha-ching. Listen, they're bitter, they're angry, they're entitled. They also should be. This should have been a reset for everyone who pushed lies and misinformation for the last. They call them Hitler. They call these things. America rejected them, and instead of coming back and saying we lied, they instead are now doubling down. So let her keep doing it, because if she keeps that up, we're going to keep getting the Senate and probably the House and the White House, because people see right through your lies. So keep doing what you're doing. Game ball the Senate.
Selective outrage 101. Whoopi's commentary isn't about truth. It's about applause. She's mastered the art of appearing informed while saying the opposite of what she said last week. Her brand. Inflated certainty mixed with selective outrage, topped with self-congratulation. Meanwhile, Greg and Tyrus didn't shout. They didn't interrupt. They just existed. And that's what drove her nuts. Deep down, she knows her hot takes don't age well. But in the echo chamber of The View, being loud is better than being accurate. It's performance over principle. Hollywood's favorite game.
Sausage maker Johnsonville is recalling more than 42,000 pounds of pork sausage for possible contamination with plastic fibers. Fortunately, authorities were able to track all 42,000 pounds to a single location in New York City.
The formula of collapse, it's become an American tradition. Whoopi starts with a smug monologue, sprinkles in emotional buzzwords, the studio claps, and then, collapse. Every time Gutfeld or Tyrus nudge the fantasy with facts, she crumbles under her own contradictions. This time, she wasn't even named, and yet she reacted like the sermon was a personal betrayal. Don't they know I was in Sister Act? Her energy screamed. Her wounded pride turned criticism into emotional warfare. Because in Whoopi's world, being wrong is less important than feeling wronged.
It's not even that. In The View, you don't need to find Trumpers. You need to fire your race baiters.
Yeah.
You need to fire the two races. You've had people. You had a McCain on there. You've had people on there before, and you ran them off. Mm-hmm. So the racist ones who want to stick to this, Whoopi and Sonny, and the, was it Bette Midler? What's her name?
Joy.
Broke-ass Bette Midler. fire them and bring people in. Maybe you could get McCain to come back. She was a Republican, but every show and every break, she was nearly in tears because she was being attacked.
Drive-by dismantling Gutfeld and Tyrus didn't debate Whoopi. They dissected the absurdity she represents. And like a moth to a flame, she dove in, making it all about her. It was a masterclass in accidental self-ownage. She wasn't the target, just the embodiment of a decaying ideology. But that didn't stop her from hosting a reaction segment so theatrical it felt scripted by a daytime Emmy writer. As her co-hosts encircled her with empty affirmations. "You're so brave. Thank you for speaking your truth." The real audience rolled their eyes.
Their brains are small. But who's the dumbest one of all? True, none of them are in Mensa, but who's the most densa? Perhaps it's Sonny who mastered the art of making idiots look smart. Now The View could ask a mirror who's the dumbest one of all, but there's no way that glass doesn't shatter.
The cracks in the throne at this point. Whoopi's meltdowns are routine. They follow a pattern. Disagreement becomes an attack, critique becomes evil, and anyone who dares push back becomes the villain. But people are catching on. Longtime viewers, even fans, are seeing the cycle. The sanctimony, the contradictions, the emotional manipulation. Her performance, once seen as brave, now feels tired. And right when you think the show couldn't get more absurd, we open the Whoopi Files. A greatest hits collection of contradictions so glaring they deserve a spot in the Museum of Moral Confusion.
So that makes Sunny Hostin, who thinks climate change caused the solar eclipse, the dumbest of them all. Because everyone knows the moon caused the eclipse, which is controlled by the View's gravitational pull. All right, Kat, did you ever see such a group? It's amazing how Joy and Whoopi became the smart ones.
For me, the most shocking thing about the conversation was how truly boring it was. They're like, well, the cicadas, they're cicadas. Okay, but it was like every 100 years. No, it's every 17 years. Do you know how many Emmys this show had?
The Hall of Hypocrisy. Let's rewind. Remember when Whoopi defended Mel Gibson, claiming he wasn't racist because he was nice to her? Fast forward, and now she's preaching about systemic injustice. Convenient, isn't it? Or when she weaponized cancel culture. Until it came for her. Suddenly she's Rosa Parks with a Hollywood agent. Her moral compass swings with the headlines. And just when Greg Gutfeld closed his segment with one final jab, not even directed at her, she collapsed again. Not because she was attacked, but because she saw her own reflection in the satire. And it was devastating.